Okay, so remember that they're changing my voice. The last video that I uploaded before this should be the one about the Shaka Zulu rising, preventing the rise of Messiah, and how Igbos go beyond Zulu people when it comes to the highest point of the spectrum of martial arts, right? And hand-to-hand combat. So in this one, I'm going to show you why it's the white Jew and LGBT community to a large degree. You should already know that, but I'm going to overkill that. So on the top left, you should see a picture of the black face, right? It's a white, gay-looking person. It looks like he's Italian-ish, which is what Romans kind of were, Greco-Romans, right? Greece, and there's other things there, right? But he's like, it's like he's Scottish or something. It's hard to put your finger on what race they are because they're a mixture of a bunch of races, right? So he's a gay, white-ish person, Jewish-ish person. But I think most people would probably not think of him as a Jew, but if you compare different types of Jews to him, you'll see a lot of similarities there. And he doesn't need to be a Jew to prove my point about who's doing it anyway. So you see that when he paints his face, that he tries to mock a black person. And there's more than one reason for this. One, it has to do with black people in the genome of the Greeks and the Romans, right? They would take Ethiopians, they would take Semites, various groups of people and mix them together in their sex cults to create a certain effect. But the main reason is to mock the idea of a black Messiah saving the day. So, you see the Jim Crow stuff. I'll try to dig up my pictures on that, and so on and so forth. Okay, where they say jump Jim Crow. And of course the word Jim is a play on words for the gym, right? And when white people work out, generally speaking, they have a different physique than black people. And then some blacks are crypto Jews, and they have more of a similar physique to whites and Jews. And some naturally have more of a physique like that. I don't myself. It's like comparing a leopard to a dog, right? Where mine is more like a leopard, those kind of micro movements, and theirs is more like a dog. And again, not to offend anybody, just to kind of try to put things in perspective, right? So you can tell by my physique naturally, even now, that I'm naturally more built for martial arts than anybody else. And there's so many reasons I'm right here. First, let's look at the wordplay for sanity and normal here, and then we'll look at the wordplay for apparent and parent, connect that to spar and rape. Okay, so in sanity, the wordplay includes at why sin. Okay, at why sin. Why sin? Why do the wrong thing, right? There's other wordplay there, but again, you have to interpret it within the boundaries of righteousness and justice, not interpret it with a white supremacy scale. For example, someone like me might say, the ideal person is a mulatto person because hybrid and high breeding, and he's from a righteous line mixed with another race's line that is righteous, and it comes together to make the ideal. A white person might not, white supremacy is not going to concede even the possibility of that. Because they're going to say that they're going to argue that it must be white, right? So again, being mulatto it allows for the opportunity for every race to build toward that, right? So someone could be part Chinese and part white, and then marry someone who's black and have a mulatto, right? But the pinnacle of that high breeding must be the patriarchal line as being the most righteous line, like my father. So my father is the ideal Igbo, one could argue. And it took that to create the ideal person, right, from the patriarchal line. Now, keep in mind that not everyone can be ideal, and that's fine. Okay, not every animal can be the king of the jungle. Not every person could breed the ideal person. And you need to come to terms with that. My viewers probably aren't all Elon Musk or something. So you're not all the richest. You're not all the handsomest, you're not all the tallest, or whatever you might think is important. But righteousness is obviously greater than wealth. And so you see that it's not a racist statement, it's just a factual statement based on the science and the empirical evidence that we see. So in the word normal, you have the letter N and the word moral. So normal is moral and moral. Okay, and sanity at why sin. So they both seem to agree that sanity has to do with morality, okay, and righteousness, and being normal in its true form, not in its socially normative form, in the construct, but in its true form has to do with morality. So I'm the most sane, and I'm sane, and I'm the most normal, and I'm moral. And so the people in mental health who work for a corrupt system and accept the boundaries of a corrupt system can argue that they're more sane than I am, because the true test is morality, the mental clarity to be moral. In fact, I often say that moral, mental, and spiritual and romantic clarity are the same. Okay, so in the word parents, you have scrambled in there, okay, 10 spar 10, as opposed, not the Spartan, those guys were immoral, but the spar at the 10 of 10, right? And you also have the play on words for, when we do the interchangeable vowels, you get the not spar. Okay, so they want your parents to not spar. Okay, and the divine parents, they want your parents to not just not spar, but they want them to not go into the divine martial art order that's proven through sparring, because you're not going to fight to the death if you're a moral order, okay, just to kind of show that you're more skilled or something. You're going to try to get to the essence of what makes someone a leader, mind, body, soul, and spirit, and you're going to spar. Spirit, spar it. Okay. So you also have rapes, okay, and T, and in parent, rape and T, and the T is the feminine suffix. We'll get to that in the future series for our members. I found the pictures for the wordplay, the bat, where the T is the feminine suffix, ba meaning soul, and I found the wordplay for the H in showing that it's a fence, an ancient symbol for fence and stuff like this. Okay. So also you get apparent, right? Ap parent and ap rape and T, the feminine suffix, like the guy on the screen on the top left, right? He's a T, an example of a T or an E. Effeminate, emasculate, silly, goofy, shady, okay, pervy, right? He has these kind of qualities that are apparent, and you can tell that it's in the genes of his parents. Now again, everyone has to start from somewhere. If someone sees this video and says, "Oh my gosh, he's right about that, and I don't want this to be known," they're not using their heads. Okay, life is short. Your soul, your afterlife is more important than, trying to make your race or your family seem superior. I mean, that's very silly. They put a lamp on a stand, tell the truth. You know what I mean? So there's that. Also on the screen, you should see that there are, there's a picture on the bottom right, which is Tatib. Why, I apologize, it's blurry, but they made it blurry on the video when it was uploaded, even though at the time the problem wasn't the reception or service, it was the hacking that created the problem, and perhaps YouTube on the inside, I don't know. But it made it blurry, and that was a common problem I was having. And it wasn't, oftentimes when you upload something and you don't have a lot of reception on your phone, that it will blur it in order to kind of make up for it and complete the task. And there's some problem in the program in there or whatever. And but they use that as an excuse to blur a lot of pictures, then try to make it seem like somebody who understands these things doesn't. And again, I don't care how much you know about IT and computer engineering, software engineering, and computer science, or science in general. I care about your character. And that's what makes someone important, right? The core, cat, Ra meaning God and not evil. So again, to be on the spar side of the debate, you have to obey God through me, and by your actions, you are on the spar side of the debate. So that's what they're referring to, right? Bread, be red, live is evil scrambled, part is trap scrambled, and also rape T when you apply the sounds, right? R-A-P can be said as rape instead of rap, right? And of course, in rap, it's part of the magic spell, like rock and roll and classical music, and all the music you see really is to create a kind of illusion, right? Genre, to kind of, and engineer, right? Engineer, right? Engineer, no engineer, what have you, engineer, social engineer, right? To sow your seed in social, right? So shall. Okay, so there's a lot of wordplay here that overkills my point. So when you see these other people on the screen, right? And again, my father is a big guy. My uncle passed away, rest in peace. My uncle Chike, he was a big guy. Okay. And that I don't care about your size and so on and so forth. I care about, you working on your mind, body, soul, and spirit, and having character and so on and so forth. But anyway, so these guys on the screen, right, the circus strongman, the pantomime on the bottom left, right, it's called a pantomime. He's a kind of a mocker. You have the Violator from Spawn. He's a pantomime of sorts, right? He's a mocker, he's a clown. And you have the first part of his name is later, right? Later. So what happened originally and what happened later And who's late? Who's, rate, late, fate, mate, hate, right? Rhyme and reason. Gate, right? Who's going to miss the gate? I'm the gate, right? Who's going to miss the way? And of course, how they want you to walk, right? Sky walking versus a gay walking, right? And you see that in both the left and the right, right? And there's marching and Mars. Where we get the word march is from the deity, the pagan Greco-Roman deity Mars, whose Greek form is Ares. Okay, so how you walk is part of what they're trying to do, and they've messed up my brain to change the way I walk. So the Skywalker, right? The Sky Law Core and the gate, right? And it goes back to walking and so on and so forth, and then wanting you to be gay. So anyway, let's go back to the game, right? As the first part, gay. And the game is made scrambled. And that goes back to, oh man, there's so many connections here. There's Zeus as the eagle of Babylon, the Babylonian sage sending out Zeus to start Rome and America and so on and so forth. But, just because all the nations are wicked doesn't mean you have to take on the mentality of that nation. You can choose to be more moral and transcend, right? We'll get into that wordplay in another video, but let's just touch on it briefly here. Transcend, star and send, star and kind, star and kin, D, sun art and DK, trains and dick, transcend your dick, right? Transcend, trains end. And trains DNA, right, to train mind, body, soul, and spirit, reproducing over time. But no one should be reproducing now because there's no possible path to be moral and to train your DNA and your offspring to be moral after my flesh dies. It's sad, but they kept pushing and pushing until they brought the end of the world, just like their Bible says, them following their script. And get the picture and the scripture, okay? And, I can go on and on about that, but let's stick to the topic at hand here. So you have on the top right corner, I believe it is, a Roman gladiator who is more of an African-shaped guy. He kind of looks Somalian more than Nigerian or something. Maybe he's an Ethiopian who looks more like a Somalian or something. And he's stabbing in the stomach some guy he's finishing off. And I think he's using a pitchfork or something. I covered it up to not break the rules on YouTube, to not bother the ladies and gentlemen who work for YouTube. Incidentally, when I call people ladies and gentlemen, I'm not praising them. I'm trying to show that I'm very diplomatic. I don't approve of people who are cheating me out of my right to lead. But anyway, so it's showing you an example of how when it comes to hand-to-hand combat and martial combat, the bigger person is at a disadvantage in a lot of cases. Now, some skinny people aren't that smart, and a big guy can overpower him, outmaneuver him. You name it, right? My brother's a great example of a big guy who's very good at maneuvering. But this is part of the story. I don't want to disrespect people. I know a lot of big people are, have their pride, what have you. My father's a big guy. My uncle, like I said, and my other uncle's a shorter gentleman. None of them are shaped like I am, right? My dad and his siblings. My little brother's kind of shaped like I am, but he's not as coordinated, not as serious, what have you. He's a very diplomatic, very nice guy, very likable guy, very personable. And of course, again, my ex-fiance wasn't shaped like me. I mean, to look at things in terms of shape and to think that you're being left behind or something is very sad. I'm sorry if anyone feels that way. It's just do the right thing, rally and beg after me, and the shape is not a big deal. I assure you, it's something you got to live to truly understand why I'm right. And they have you in some kind of a mental haze and daze. It's confusing about that. So anyway, you look at the circus, right? The circus strongman, you have the tall, skinny guy, kind of like Ichabod Crane, the cartoon character. You have the circus midgets, the circus freaks. That's a part of it. That's the part of the story, right? Focus versus circus. Okay, and of course it goes back to the demon being a skilled performer. I forgot to use that. I think I planned to do that in this video, but I'm going to have to do that in the next video or the video after that. So there's that, right? And I covered a lot of information in this video, so let's just wrap this up, and I'll try to put some of this other information I want to talk about into the next video.